Well, I want to go on and I want to talk next. So you had posed the question to me, or was it a question or was it more of a comment? You said your first home won't be your forever home. Yeah. So tell me about why are you bringing this up in today's conversation?
Well, I feel like I was mentioning, everybody I want to hope aspires to buy a house if they're able to, but we emotionally get very distracted with, buying this big house that we want it to be perfect. And what I've learned is that when you want something, it doesn't always need to be perfect. It just needs to be able to, you need to be able to see what you want and then be able to move forward knowing that down the line or with faith, you can make it happen. And I think we by nature just default to obsessing over one thing, and we want it so bad that it really blocks away our ability to think about, what really matters at times. And I think that when you first buy a house, the first thing you think about is, I'm going to get in this house for 30 years. Oh, I'm going to live in this forever. No. This is just your first house. And the easiest way I could put it is the first car that you ever drove that was given to you, or that your parents bought you, or that you bought yourself. Was that the car that you kept forever, or that you plan on keeping forever? I don't think so. And I feel that that's how it is for your first house. You get into your first house, it's something that you can call yours, but obviously unless you're like a millionaire and you're very, secure with money, then you're not going to buy your forever house right off the bat.
Well, and again, everyone's kind of like target for whatever their forever house is. It is different. It may not just be a millionaire house or whatever. My friend Rams is funny. He has this thing where he's like, one of my aspirations is that I would eventually have a house that you don't have to back into the driveway and you can actually just drive in a circle around it. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's his like forever home idea. As you were talking about the forever home and you mentioned like the whole millionaire status thing, I was thinking actually about veterans. Now, people who are active duty military, let's say they've done their 20 years and they have veteran status, not just separated, but actually veteran, right? They're retired. I shouldn't say veteran status. They're retired status. The house they buy, wherever they separate from the military and end up, that might actually be their forever home. Now, it's not the rule. It's kind of like the exception to the rule. Yeah. But I'm going to go back to something that our friend Lloyd Stanford's told for many episodes and many conversations, which is, if he would have known sooner, while he was in active duty, he would have bought a house in every single city he was PCS to. Now, the lesson in that is that this is from someone who spent 32 years in the Navy and was at the head of the command for thousands of men and women who have fought for our country. And he came on here and said, I would have bought a place near a place, which means that his first home was absolutely not his forever home. So to your point, the first one he bought and did buy is not the one he lives in now. Yeah. And the one he lives in now still isn't going to be his forever home. There's also the exception to the rule, which is if someone does 20 years, 25, maybe even 30, if they have not bought a house with their V eligibility during the 20 years, that's a lot of lost opportunity when it comes to selling it. But also I can see, and I've heard this, and this is why I'm bringing it up, I've heard people say, I'm just going to move to Tennessee and I'm just going to live out the rest of my life there. And I'm going to use my VA then. Okay, well, that's your choice. You don't have to buy a house right now. Yeah. If you want to buy it later, that's fine. So I think that's more of an exception to the rule than the rule itself. And I think part of what you're talking about too, that I'm picking up on, is I think generationally we look at houses different. Yeah. The baby boomers ahead of me, they looked at houses like you buy a house and you pay that house off and you live there forever, you die in that house, or you leave that house for your next generation. Yeah. Now, there's still a lot of that in my generation, maybe less of it than in the boomers. And even less in the millennials, and even less beyond that, right?
Well, I compared it to a car, so.
Well, I know you did. I was just going to say, like, you just said it's like a car. So I get that part. But so it's not just generational, though. I think it also speaks to life change. You mentioned this in the previous segment where it's like, hey, if you have a baby on the way, maybe you're not going to stay in that apartment and you got to go get a place that's got 3 bedrooms instead of 2 or 2 bedrooms instead of 1. Yeah. So life change is usually going to be an indicator of when moves are made too. And this is, again, a case for that first house may not be your forever home. And if you can't afford to keep the first house and just add it to your portfolio of real estate you collect along the way, then even more power to you. If you can't, that's fine. Then you're a pending sale. Just like we talked about at the top of the show. You put your house on the market, it goes pending, and then you're looking to buy another one, and you're putting that house in pending. Here we go. Domino effect.
I think one of the good ways to look at it, if you're, looking at it from a millennial point of view, when you're buying your first house, make a strategic move and not an emotional one, and look to align yourself when purchasing to something that's closer to your lifestyle in that moment and your financial goals at that moment as well. Because if you're looking to buy with like, well, okay, down the line, I'm going to do this down the line. It's okay to think in the future, but when you're just getting started, it's like stepping stones. How are you going to utilize this property to get to the next property, to get to the next one, if that's what you're looking to do? But I just feel that when it comes to your first property, by default, it's very emotional, when you should add more, strategic planning into there and let your emotions, not get in the way so much.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think there's a place in everyone's heart who has a first home that goes, this is my first home and I'm going to love this place. And I know that, again, we're talking about mentality a lot today too, and behavior and how we look at real estate, how we look at financing, how we look at approvals and all that. And I think that how you look at your first home matters a lot. And some people will look at it with a lot of gratitude and a lot of sentiment because like, it's my first house. Like I still think about my first house and I've moved twice since then. So yeah, my first house was this. It's not my forever home, but it does have a special place in my heart because that's where we raised our 3 girls in their first years. And so it matters to me. And I look at pictures and it's like, oh, their first birthday was there. Oh, and that daughter's 3rd birthday was there. Oh my gosh, we rode bikes in the yard. And oh, I remember this is where we used to play in the grass. And it's like, oh my gosh, I think about these things. So there's a lot of sentiment and emotion connected to that.
Yeah. No, and that's awesome that you share that. And I feel that, a lot of people at the end of the day want to have a house so that they can build those types of memories. And I think that's ultimately everyone. I mean, you just buy a house and say, hey, I just have a roof over my head. Yeah. You want to experience it with people, right? That's why when you just move in, you have a housewarming party, you invite all your family. Like, I feel that's the true meaning of having a house, a place where you could bring all your family together and enjoy those beautiful experiences that you want to, share with everyone.
It's as we talked about, right? The difference between having a house and building a home.
100%. That's it.